So, along with that, we'll go ahead and get started. Go ahead and introduce Will Anderson. He's based in New York. He uses the Upper West Side as a small joke over in New York. He's been at Go2Group for just about 3 years now, and is currently the VP of Marketing. There you can see a little bit of his work experience, and I thought it was funny when I asked him what he does when he's not working. He stated, well, when is that? Sounds like he's always working. And with that, I'll go ahead and give Will the controls here. Should be coming over, Will.
Great. Thank you, Morgan, and thank you, Atlassian, for today's webinar. Like Morgan said, my name is William Anderson, and I do run the products, marketing, and sales at Go2Group. Let's see. And today's agenda, I'm going to go ahead and introduce a couple of products, like Morgan said, both the Jam plugin and CRM plugin, and our newest product called the Go2Group Synapse RT. Go2Group Synapse RT is a product that is actually we're very excited about, and it provides requirements and test defects, kind of a mini test suite within Jira itself. And we'll go through that shortly with the demo with Mike. The next slide, my slide seems to be stuck here. The next slide is so that was the agenda. A little bit after the agenda, we're talking about Go2Group itself. Go2Group was established in 2001 as service consulting partners. We worked specifically with Perforce on the configuration management side. But we quickly expanded into products as we realized that customers wanted just a little bit more than just services. From there, we actually expanded our services into what we called SPLA, or Software Production Line Automation Services. This covered, basically from the development and test side all the way out to the customer-facing products and solutions. We are a growing company, even in today's environment, which is pretty exciting. We have many customers that are happy customers and returning customers. And obviously, our partners include folks like Atlassian and Perforce and HP. The next slide here, we'll talk a little bit about the services side of it. Services we do provide. I apologize for the delay here. My computer's acting a little bit slow. On the services side, we do provide custom integrations with legacy or incumbent systems that are currently in production within your environment, and hook those into all things Atlassian, including Jira, Confluence, Crowd, etc. We do provide best practice deployment packages, which offer a combination of services and products, which get you guys up and running as quickly as possible. And training, we do provide a long series of training, a wide variety of training that's custom for your environment and your needs. In addition to that, we do have other services that include requirements from HP all the way down into Salesforce products and solutions. So switching over to the product side, these are the three products that we're going to be discussing today. Those three products are the Synapse RT, which we discussed a little bit earlier, Jam plugin, which integrates Quality Center and Jira, and the CRM plugin, which integrates Sugar CRM or Salesforce and Jira. A few notes from our customers, happy customers, which are always good customers. And now let's see, finally, just a couple of housekeeping notes on some news. We are releasing new updates on our products today, including a new version of Jam, a new version of Synapse, and an updated version of CRM. So with that, I am going to hand it over to back over to Morgan, and I believe Mike's going to go ahead and kick off the Synapse RT demo. Thank you.
All right, my name is Mike Mayhew. I'm the VP of Technology with Go2Group. Can everybody hear me fine?
Yep.
Okay. The first product that I'm going to talk about is our newest product. It's called Synapse RT, and the basis of Synapse RT was to bring test case and test case management functionality along with requirements linking into Jira as a standalone product. And our main goal was to achieve traceability from end to end, from requirements to defect resolution to code commits, and even all the way to the actual release of the software using other tools that Atlassian provides, such as Fisheye and Bamboo. We've created kind of some quick sites. One of them is called synapsert.com for information, and then I'll flip over to the one for Jam as well, and you can get information, demos, and watch videos from those locations. When I start talking about Synapse RT and Jam, the first thing I'm going to go into is the individual issue perspective. And if you can see my screen, and Morgan, if my screen doesn't switch or anything, just let me know.
No, it looks great.
Okay. So from an individual issue perspective, when we look at Synapse RT, you'll notice some differences. I'm actually in a requirement right now, and when I'm in a requirement type issue, I can create a test case that will be associated with this requirement, and/or I can create a bug. Also, you'll notice in the bottom section, we use tabs like every other Jira application, and we can click on test coverage, and that will actually show us the test cases that are currently being run on this requirement. We can also look at issue coverage, and it will show us the issues that have been taken out on this particular requirement. And then also for initial development and everything, just as you would with Fisheye, you can look at the code completed for that particular requirement. If I go to create a new issue, a big difference is we have dynamically brought in test cases. We've also created a thing called test suites. So you can click on a test suite, and this will go into the grouping for those test cases that you can associate with a particular defect or requirement. And also you could say that this defect belongs to this requirement from when you create the issue. And these are all dynamically pulled from the requirements and test cases that are created within Jira. The test suite functionality I'll show at the end. With all of our plugins, we allow administration configuration in the Jira administration section, and we've provided a way for you to group test cases and suites and from a global perspective in the administration section. But going away from the individual requirement or test case view with the tabs and so on, we've created a dashboard for Synapse, and again, the goal is to show traceability and be able to have a release view, with everything that's going on with the particular release. So basically, we've allowed you the ability to select which release you're wanting to look into. At the very top, we provide a traceability matrix. On the left-hand side, we have requirements. If you hover over each requirement, you'll see the summary of the requirement. And then at the top, we have the test cases that are being applied to the different requirements, and then the actual status of those test cases as they're being run. We've also provided a link to quickly look at what commits have been made in Subversion or whatever your repository using Fisheye. And that goes as well if I go click on, for instance, our Synapse test case. This test case has a defect out, and there's also the ability to look at the commits from it there as well. Again, if you click on the requirement, you'll see the defects changing. These are the defects that are associated with the requirement, as well as any test case. On the bottom right, we've added two charts, two burn-down charts. The requirement burn-down chart is based on the time estimates in each requirement. So the time applied as the work log is filled out brings this graph closer to completion, to the end date of the project, to the release date. The test case coverage chart is the actual planned coverage as you create test cases and test suites and apply them to a release, and then the actual coverage at the top and the approaching real coverage. There's another tab in the dashboard. It's for release planning. This is the newest functionality. All of these dashboards are configurable. We've made them pretty as dynamic as we can. At the top, you have the ability to create new requirements and use test cases. Again, you can select which project and which release. You can also choose whether you want to view requirements and test planning as by their status or by their priority. And here we're looking at basically the workflow steps and the individual requirements. We do have drag and drop functionality to apply, which is dynamic. It will change the status and move the requirement through the workflow just by dragging and dropping. We've also done the same thing for test cases. And on the right side, we've added a cork board. We look at it like, you're planning a release. People are working in this dashboard. They may want to send a note to the QA guy, or they may want to send a note to the release manager, and they could quickly do that here as they're kind of getting ready to release the software. You're also able to edit issues from within here instead of actually having to go back to the the individual issue in Jira. You can just do it from a pop-up and kind of go about your business from an individual requirement or a test case perspective. As I said earlier, with all of our products, we have an administration section. And for Synapse, it's fairly simple, but it's where you would basically apply your license. You can determine what you consider to be a requirement. Maybe you don't call it a requirement. Maybe you call it a use case or a user story or whatever. Same with test cases. It's whatever you want to call it, and that's where you would set the issue type here. And then we, again, allow you to create test suites. So if you created a bunch of test cases, you could group them together in a suite in this section. All right, so the next product that I'm going to talk about is Jam, which is an older product. It kind of led us to Synapse, and this is an integration with Quality Center and basically bringing in, again, test cases and requirements management if folks are using Quality Center, and synchronizing that and bringing that into Jira. Again, we have a quick page here with information and links to videos and things like that. I'll switch over to my VM here because we have to run Quality Center. And again, starting off from an individual issue perspective, here we are looking at our issue. A new link on the left is Replicate Now, and that's if you were just making some changes and you didn't want to wait for the 5-minute replication time or whatever that you set in the administration section. You could replicate it immediately to make a change. For instance, if I wanted to make a change here to the environment from local to dev 3, I could make that change, replicate it now, and then you can see here that our issue ID and our QC bug ID in Quality Center is 109. So if we go look at our Quality Center bug 109, I actually have that field mapped to platform. Its environment in Jira and its platform. It's completely configurable, and I'll show that shortly in the administration section, but we allow you to configure the mapping however you like. You'll also notice that in linked entities, whenever we create an issue in Jira and we say that it references this requirement or this test case, it will link it in Quality Center and give it the correct entity linkage as it should if you were doing it in Quality Center. So basically, this particular defect is related to a test case called bug flight. This is from Quality Center, and it's related to these requirements that are in Quality Center. These are dynamically being pulled. And once again, we've added tabs at the bottom to show this information. We can look at the defect. We've also allowed you to migrate attachments or have linkage to attachments in Quality Center. So if a QA person, which they did in this case, linked a log file, it will show up in Jira for the developer to see. And the test case information from Quality Center as well. Again, this is dynamically pulled. If you were to create a new issue, you would see these test cases and requirements, and again, these are dynamically being pulled from Quality Center. And then, as if I were to create this issue, it would create the linkage. It would create the Quality Center bug ID, just as if you were creating it in Quality Center, and you would continue to have the synchronization happen as you made changes on either side. I'm going to go into the administration section now. It's a little bit more elaborate than Synapse because there's quite a bit of mapping necessary. The first screen is to allow you to choose a user that's going to actually connect to Quality Center, and we provide a service that does the communication between the two applications. And then we allow you to map which projects. So you can determine what projects you want to map, whether you want to map them in both directions or one direction, whether you want to do test cases. Maybe you don't use requirements. So it's not necessary that you have to map requirements. Then we have the general configuration. At the top we have what bug field do you consider a Jira ID, or do you want Jira ID to show up in Quality Center. And of course, if you look at the issue, that would be a custom field, and it would show up as the Jira key, or the issue key would show up in Quality Center. And then we have a bunch of filtering capabilities, database specifications in case you're using SQL Server. You can actually exclude synchronizations to happen at particular statuses or issue types, things like that. There's a lot of filtering abilities. And then comes the mapping section, and here's where you would actually map the Jira field to the Mercury field, the field type. You can do as many as you want, or as little as you want, as long as the required fields are mapped. You're good to go. Also, with all of our products, you can go to the project perspective and look at the entire project as a whole and see what requirements have been linked to issues and or test cases. And that's it. I'll give it back to Morgan.
All right, I'll go ahead and just give it over to Doug straight off. All right, should be coming your way, Doug.
Okay, great. I hope everybody can hear me fine. As you've heard, we've talked about some of our newer plugins like Synapse and Jam. My name is Doug Bass. I'm the architect of the very first plugin that we developed over 2 years ago, a plugin that we developed that integrates Jira with your CRM system, Salesforce, and we also support Sugar CRM. So I wanted to show that to you today. Relative to the CRM plugin, it links your Salesforce cases or your Sugar CRM bugs with your Jira issues. A very common use of this plugin is within a support center, so that as cases are created, say in your remote CRM system, they can be replicated over to Jira. And then as your engineers work on your bugs in Jira, that information, that change of status or maybe comments or attachments, are communicated back to your remote customer relationship management system. Also, it helps within your sales pipeline so that your sales engineers or maybe you're using a portal for your customers. They can see the status of an issue as it's worked. It's assigned to an engineer, it's been fixed, maybe released to QA, so that adds additional visibility into your engineering process. Also, we have some reporting capabilities so that you can find issues either as bugs or maybe what contact or what account has been assigned to a particular issue. And last of all, of course, collaboration is the big key. So collaborating and communicating and replicating all of your comments and your attachments between each of your teams. So that's the brief overview. Let me show you a little bit about the plugin. So within Jira, what we have developed are a number of custom fields that demonstrate or allow you to view the information of your CRM information. The fields that are displayed can be customized, and other record types like opportunity or product can be shown also. You can also have custom fields or custom record types from your remote CRM system. So for example, you might have other custom fields within contact or with an account. Maybe this is a good account or this is a difficult account. So you can show that additional information on your Jira screen. Notice that we're currently showing account and then contact and also the case that's linked over in your CRM system. So also you can find issues. So the custom fields also have searchers associated with them. So for example, we can search for an account or we can search for a contact, and we can use that along with adding these custom fields to your issue navigator within Jira so that you can also see what accounts or maybe contacts are associated with that case. Sorry about that, clicked on the wrong one. Okay, so we're back looking at our issue, and as I was saying, these links here also go back to your CRM system. And again, the plugin is configurable on what fields within here you want to store the link and also where you want the link to go to. For example, you may be using not a regular Salesforce installation, but a Salesforce sandbox installation, and that uses a different URL. Or if you're using Sugar CRM, you would want to configure your URL to point to your particular Sugar installation. So let's go here to the case, and this is the case that's currently linked with Jira. So we can configure the plugin of what fields are communicated between the two systems. For example, you can see that we're storing the Jira issue ID in the case origin field. I'm reusing the standard fields within Salesforce like subject and description that came over from Jira. But I can also use a whole new custom field, a custom panel within Salesforce to show only the Jira information. That's a very common use case scenario. Notice that I've also used this case to communicate case comments. This is a case comment that was created here, and then it would be communicated over to Jira. And I can also communicate attachments back and forth. So how do we get those changes back and forth between the two systems? Well, there's two ways. As an installer, you might choose to use a manual method. That is, you want your sales reps to change the information within the case, and when they're done modifying the case, then they click on the Create Update Jira Issue button. What that will do is that will create a case over in Jira if it doesn't exist yet. If it already exists, it'll update the information over in Jira. An alternative to using a button, the button is useful when you want to control what data goes to Jira, but maybe you want all of your cases in Salesforce to be communicated to Jira. In that case, you can set up an automatic service, a Jira service, that will pull your Salesforce data at a predefined interval, and it will pull the data over as the data changes in Salesforce. As a further enhancement, you can also change that predefined service so that it only pulls over particular kinds of cases. For example, you might have a case that has only an opportunity of one, and those are the only cases that you want to come over. So the plugin allows you to define that ability. So we've talked about configuration quite a bit. Let me show you a little bit about that. So we have a number of different configuration screens, but this is probably the most widely used when you first install the plugin. And this is basically allows you to define, similar to the Jam plugin, what fields are going to be communicated between Jira and your CRM system. We have a number of options here. Number one, you can add new fields in here as you add custom fields. You can also define the transfer of information between the two systems. For example, for description, do I want it to send when I'm creating and updating, only when I'm creating, or only when I'm updating issues? And then you can also define a default value. For example, you might have a project would be a good example. If you set a default value for a project, then when the issues first come from Salesforce into Jira, they're always created within that Jira project. Another nice thing about the plugin is you can also do mapping. For example, say you had a status field and you needed to map the Salesforce case statuses to the Jira issue statuses. You could use this particular screen to do that. So that pretty well covers what the CRM plugin does. I wanted to bring up Atlassian's new plugin exchange is also available now. If you go to plugins.atlassian.com, you'll see all the plugins. If you want to see the Go2Group plugins, you can search for them by that. And here we have the CRM and the Jam plugin and a number of other plugins. We also have a free plugin for Jira in your CRM system, and also a free plugin for your Confluence system. So I hope those are useful to you. If you need to contact us in the future, of course, you can go to go2group.com. You can send us an email at sales@go2group.com, and this is also our phone number. So Morgan, I think that wraps up our plugin show for the day. Let me return control back to you.
All right, thanks, Doug. And Will, did you have any other slides that you wanted to show?
No, no, I think we're all good.
Okay. All right. So with that, then I guess we will open up a Q&A session. As I said earlier, for all of those that are on, if you have any questions, just chat them in the questions chat window on your control panel there, and I'll go ahead and start asking you guys the questions. And be sure to state which plugin you were asking questions on. Those plugins are obviously very powerful. I could see us doing breaking them out to the webinar per each one, which might be a good idea down the road. So you mentioned plugins.atlassian.com. Is that where people go to acquire these plugins, or would they go to your website?
This is William. They can actually go either place. What we've tried to do is set up a support site using both Confluence and Jira, so they can log in any kind of feature requests or bug notifications within a project within Jira, and that's at jira.go2group.com. We also have a Confluence site where we host all of our actual products and documentation, which is freely available at support.go2group.com. So they can either get them through the plugins.atlassian.com exchange site, or certainly through the support.go2group.com site.
Okay. And how often would you say that you guys push out new versions of these plugins?
That's a great question. I'll start with the Synapse RT product. That is a fairly new product. Our intention for each of our products is to push out a major release once a year, once 12 to 15 months, and then minor updates, once every 6 to 8 weeks, depending on the amount of updates. We did just announce 3 updates to all 3 of these products today. The Jam plugin, that's a little bit more active in its release schedule. We would see releases come in about every 4 to 6 weeks. The CRM plugin just released a really exciting update with the configuration screens and the GUI screens, which is going to be very helpful and very powerful. That is about once every month, 4 to 8 weeks release schedule, and the Synapse we're looking to get somewhere kind of in that same time range.
Okay. And then a question came in, what type of support do you guys offer for your plugins?
Sure. Support we offer, again, through the jira.go2group.com site, much like Atlassian uses. We try to push most of our customers in that direction initially. That gives our support teams a much better idea, clarity on what the actual issue is, attached log files, screenshots, all that good stuff. Kind of gets everybody on the same page. So we do offer the Jira site. We offer support through telephone, GoToMeeting sites, on-site where needed, telephone, etc. So we do offer the full gamut of support for all of our products.
Okay. And then here came some questions on the specific plugins. So I guess we'll ask Mike this one on the Synapse. You guys mentioned that it was the newest plugin that you guys have. How long has it actually been around?
Actually, we released the first version. It was a month and a half ago. So we are just releasing. I guess it's 1.1 now, and so it's very new.
Okay. And then kind of a funny question, what does the RT stand for in Synapse RT?
Requirements and testing.
Okay. And then we got some questions coming in. I guess we'll jump over to Doug on the CRM plugin. Do you guys intend to add other CRM systems to this plugin?
And this answer is true for all of our plugins. The development that we do is very much driven by what our customer requirements are. In fact, we originally did the CRM plugin because a customer came to us and they said we really need an integration between Jira and a relational database, so where their custom CRM system was stored. So that's how the plugin first started. We developed that, and we still offer that integration with relational database systems. And then we went to Salesforce, and then because we had some additional requests from customers to integrate with Sugar CRM, we added that. So yes, it's very much driven by whatever our customers need. Log your feature request at jira.go2group.com, and we'll definitely roll them into the earliest possible release that we can do that.
Yeah, and just on a side note, I've seen so many, tons and tons of integrations with Salesforce.com. It's amazing the amount of things that you can do integrating that with whatever tool you have. It's amazing.
Yes,
okay,
Salesforce is very amazing. It's a very well-designed tool, and it's also very adaptable. It has a very good API, probably better than most. So you're right, it's a very powerful tool, and that's why, a lot of customers using Jira and using Salesforce, they don't want to really migrate totally into Jira and have all of their contact and case information in Jira because it is so powerful and used by a wide range of sales organizations.
Right. And there's a question that's popped up here. Is there integration with SAP?
Right. So we currently do not have an integration with SAP. Of course, if we get some interest from some customers, I'd be glad to have a personal conversation with them and understand where we would like that to go. And of course, the big thing is if a remote system has a web services interface, then that really reduces the amount of time to integrate with that remote system. But our plugin has been architected and re-architected over the years as we've added in more and more integrations to other systems. That's helped us clean up our architecture and made it easier to communicate to new CRM systems.
Uh-huh. And along the SAP lines, what about RevTrack integration?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that product, so that's, again, something I would need to discuss with the customer, and we will be glad to do that.
Okay, and you had already mentioned for people to kind of open up these types of conversations, how do they log an issue, or do they email you guys? Again, can you go over the contact method there?
Yeah, I think there's a number of different ways that we can collaborate with customers and talk about these new feature requests. Of course, one of them is to send an email to sales@go2group.com, and Will monitors that email 24 hours a day, right, Will? And another way is to log an issue on jira.go2group.com. If it's against the CRM plugin, then log a feature request in there. And also at any time, just request a demo. And as we do the demo, we can have those conversations of how it would look integrating with the different remote system.
Okay. And then here's just one more specific question. We saw the integration between Salesforce and Jira. It seemed like you were pushing from Salesforce to Jira. Is there, does it go the other way? Does it go from Jira to Salesforce for any reason?
Exactly. All of the information can be communicated in both directions. When I was looking at the configuration screen, I showed you that data can be sent from Jira to Salesforce, from Salesforce to Jira, or both ways.
Okay.
So the plugin can be configured in any one of those different options. The nice thing about Jira and its API that if you're sending data from Jira to Salesforce, as soon as you make the change in Jira, the change is sent over to Salesforce immediately, like a comment or an attachment. Data coming from Salesforce over to Jira is either in a polled mode or pushing a button, so there's a little bit more time delay in that communication.
Yeah. And you mentioned that the CRM plugin is your oldest plugin, right around 2 years ago. What, just out of curiosity, what version is it on right now?
As of today, we're releasing the 3.1 version.
Okay.
Also, Will was talking some about the release structure that we have for our plugins. Since I'm very familiar with CRM, what I try to do with the CRM plugin is have 2 to 3 major releases a year with major new functionality. And then in between each of those major releases, we have point fixes to solve bugs. So as serious bugs come up, if we need to get a release out to a customer, we don't wait till the next quarter or the next 6 months to get it out. We package up that and get it out to customers as soon as we can.
Excellent. All right, well, I think that basically wraps up the questions. Will, did you have any things that you wanted to add before we gave out some information?
I didn't have anything specific. I did want to thank Doug and Mike for displaying all the great work that they've done. These guys are tremendous guys to work with, along with our entire support team who does most of the development and support for these products. Mike and Doug have done a great job in architecting and strategically planning the directions of these, and it's just a great team to be working with. Doug made note that our products are mainly driven by our customers, and that's very true. Kind of similar to how Atlassian works, our jira.go2group.com site kind of does drive our product roadmap. So if folks have a pretty heavy interest in a specific feature, one of the specific features is in Jam 5.6 was a tree view of all of the test cases within Jira, and that was one that was voted on pretty heavily. So that's the one that we wanted to get in this latest release. So just an example of how we're listening to our customers and making sure that they drive our products in the right direction. Other than that, I did want to say thanks, Morgan, for putting all this together. I know that you guys do a lot of hard work there behind the scenes, so we at Go2Group certainly do appreciate it. And thanks to everybody for showing up today.
All right, yeah, and I'd like to extend a thanks as well to all of you guys, the three of you, Will, Mike, and Doug. And I'll just give this information here. If you wanted to contact me, I do the webinars here at Atlassian. Just go ahead and email webinars@atlassian.com. Right here, I put up Will's email address at william.anderson@go2group.com. Of course, you can contact our developer network at atlassian.com/developers. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation that this was going to be archived, I should get it up maybe today, definitely by tomorrow at atlassian.com/TV. And just to plug some of our upcoming webinars that we have, on the 16th of July, we'll have our second Summit sponsor webinar with Rob Castaneda of Customware. And they are also doing a Salesforce.com integration. And then on the 23rd of July, another Plugin of the Month webinar with Andrew Lampin of ZAgile with a few Confluence plugins. Again, at the bottom there, there's webinars at Atlassian.com, which you can contact me with, and Atlassian.com/about/events. That's where you can see all types of events, not just webinars, but also conferences that we're going to, as well as Atlassian user groups, that type of thing. So with that, I'd like to thank all you guys again. Thanks for showing up, everybody, and until next time.